Man, tonight I have two words that may be ringing in the ears of three leaders, and you have been forewarned on this edition of The Fold. Tonight I said that there were two words that are ringing in the ears of three leaders, and you've been forewarned. Welcome to The Fold tonight. Those two words are N.U.K.E, U.S.A. And I made an acronym, N.U.K.E, U.S.A. You've heard that all over the news and all over social media, N.U.K.E, U.S.A. And what the acronym means is never underestimate the K word that I can't say ever. Never underestimate. Let's call them kitchens. Never underestimate kitchens ever. I want to talk about these three leaders, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, and Vladimir Putin. And I want to make this as simple as possible. The relationship between these three countries, it stems back hundreds of years. And to understand the relationship, so you can understand what's going on now, you can take a look at geopolitics and have somewhat of an understanding of what's going on now by knowing what happened in the past. You got to go back to the 1800s. Now, China was the superpower up until 1895. Up until 1895, China ruled and subdued every country around them and turned those countries into tributary states. These tributary states helped to prop up China's economy and China's military. And they helped to solidify China as the superpower in the East. But you got to go back to the 1500s to understand how they began to fall. So in 1500, Europe moves in and they begin to colonize these tributary states. And over the process of time, China's economy and military is weakened because of these tributary states being colonized. So Japan begins to emerge as somewhat of a superpower. And again, in the process of time, between 1894 and 1895, Japan goes to war over China for the one place that was still colonized that China had control over. Guess where it was? Joseon. Now, Joseon may not mean anything to you, but that was Korea's name before it was named Korea. It was Joseon. Hopefully I didn't butcher the name. Joseon was Korea's name. So Japan and China go to war over Korea between 1894 and 1895 in the Sino-Japanese War, in which Japan won the war, which was a very big embarrassment to China. So China takes a step back. Japan wins the war. Japan purchased Korea's freedom indirectly. So Korea now is an independent nation, right? Supposedly. So Korea, what they do is they begin to lean on Russia the USSR. They begin to lean on the USSR at the time for military training and modernization. So they began to lean on Russia a little bit, the USSR at the time, for military training and modernization. So Russia forms an alliance with Korea. And Korea had the fear that Japan would come in and invade them. So they formed closer ties with Russia. So again, in the process of time, in 1904, Russia and Japan go to war, in which Japan won the war. So after this war is over, it's 1910. Korea was colonized by the Japanese in 1910. This is a long time ago, man. And when Korea was colonized by Japan, man, this was a brutal time in Korea's history because the women were sold into sex trafficking and slavery. The men were subjected to hard labor, and they helped to build the infrastructure. And they pretty much drained Korea of its identity, and they began to acquiesce in every way, Korea did, to Japan. And they began to take on Japan's customs. So by God's providence, I believe, you're rounding off 1945. And you're in the 1940s now, and Japan is involved in World War II. So by the time 1945 rolls around, Japan, they lose in World War II, which caused the USSR to move into, it creates a vacuum, you see. It caused the USSR to move into Korea, and NATO and the United States also. So now you got this standoff between the USSR, North Korea, South Korea, and NATO, along with the United States. So in 1950, China goes to war along with North Korea against South Korea and NATO, led by the United States in 1950. This is the Korean War, in which an estimated 2.5 million people died during the Korean War between 1950 and 1953. Now, after the Korean War, an armistice was signed between China, North Korea, and South Korea and the United States. And this armistice, and I believe I got it right, China, North Korea, South Korea, and the U.S.A. This armistice was an agreement to put away the hostility between North and South Korea, but we still have a conflict. Now, where do you divide the land? So this is the second conflict. So the United States, they hired these two young guys, these two officers. They didn't hire them, but these two young officers were commissioned to find a resolution for the North-South Korea, this conflict after the Korean War, because there was no clear winner. There was a stalemate. So these officers went and they drew up a couple proposals to take to the USSR to come to the table and sit and talk about it. The USSR rejected every proposal. I think it was like 3 proposals that they brought to the USSR. They rejected all 3. So these officers pulled out a map of Korea and basically divided Korea at what you call the 38th parallel. And to this day, Korea is divided between North and South at the 38th parallel. It is that way right now. And what's keeping peace between North Korea and South Korea predominantly is this armistice, this agreement. And an armistice is a general name. You can have an armistice agreement with different countries, no. But this armistice is what's keeping peace between North and South Korea, supposedly. And you know what's going on in South Korea now with the president declaring martial law and lifting it. And now South Korea is in an uproar. The question is, why did South Korea's president declare martial law? What did he know that the people didn't know? You look on the other side of the fence, and Syria has been overthrown by rebels, which is good for the people, bad for government. Bashar al-Assad is gone. He fled. And Bashar al-Assad, he was in bed with Russia. Russia supported Syria and the Syrian army and government. And Hezbollah also sided with the Syrian government, along with Russia. So you see how geopolitics works? So indirectly, the rebels invading Syria and going into Damascus and overthrowing Damascus today is an indirect win for Israel, because Hezbollah was a problem for Israel. Hezbollah was involved in this conflict as well. So indirectly, it's a high five to Israel, you know. But could we be seeing Isaiah 17:1 fulfilled in our lifetime, with Damascus becoming a ruinous heap? Isaiah has prophesied this, Isaiah 17:1. Go check it out for yourself. Man, things are happening so fast, it's kind of hard to keep up. I want to talk about these 3 guys real quick. I want to let you guys know something. Now, Vladimir Putin, he moves kind of covertly. Remember, these men have never been convicted of the things I'm talking about. They haven't been convicted. None of them. Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, these guys have not been convicted of the things I'm about to talk about. So that's my disclaimer. These are allegations. So before I talk about that, I want to talk about the nuclear trinity between Russia, China, and North Korea. Well, all 3 countries have nuclear capabilities. Listen, all 3 countries have nuclear capabilities. We saw North Korea, they've been flexing their muscles really since 2000, you know, and there are so many sanctions on North Korea, man. I mean, they've been making money all kinds of ways. I don't want to get into that. But I'm pretty sure they've been selling weapons to other countries, man. But they have nuclear capability. And Kim Jong-un, he doesn't mind the world knowing. You know, same with China. They have nuclear capability. They built new aircraft carriers. They don't mind the world knowing them. They're kind of flexing a little bit. And even Russia, they developed this missile. I don't know when they developed it. The article I picked up was from 2022. The Satan. The Satan is a hypersonic missile, right? That's one missile. I'm reading now about a missile called the Satan II. It's a hypersonic missile. It's an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile. The word explains it. It's self-explanatory. So the idea is that a missile could be launched from Russia, from Moscow. It could hit London in 3 minutes. So what happens, let's just say hypothetically, if Russia shot off this missile from Moscow, the Kremlin decides to shoot this missile off. They shoot the missile off. It goes into outer space above satellites, and this missile can travel at top speeds of 12,000 miles per hour. Allegedly, this missile from Russia to London could hit London within 3 minutes. So the question is, let me make it make sense. If you got up in the morning, you brushed your teeth, you went downstairs, you cracked 3 eggs, scrambled 3 eggs, put 2 pieces of toast in the toaster, sat down to eat. Between the time you crack 3 eggs and the time you pull your toast out the toaster, you're nuked. If that's the case for London, what about us, America? We sit so securely. We're so boastful right now. We don't think we can be touched. Could Satan be coming to town this Christmas? Somewhere? Maybe so. We don't know. No one really knows. Who promised you peace and security? Who promised you safety? You don't have any guarantee. The only guarantee you have is that Jesus Christ is Lord. Anything else is a disappointment at the end of the matter. Who promised you peace and safety? When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon them as a woman in travail, she won't escape. That's where we are right now. Something to think about, man. So, Moscow to London, 3 minutes. Let me make it make sense in America. You get up in the morning, you wash your face, you brush your teeth, right? Crack 3 eggs, scramble the 3 eggs, put 2 pieces of toast in the toaster, sit down and eat. You're nuked. So what I'm saying is, for America, if something was launched in our direction, by the time you crack 3 eggs, scramble them, get your toast out the toaster, and sit down to eat, you're nuked. That's not a lot of time, man. And this is just Russia. I haven't even started talking about North Korea and China. Okay, let's talk about North Korea. Kim Jong-un has been flexing his muscles, especially these last 3-4 years, like post-COVID. Even during COVID in 2000, he was really flexing his muscles. He's shooting off missiles into the sea. South Korea is alarmed by it. He's flexing his muscle. And, you might not know a lot about these guys, and these are allegations, by the way. There was a guy that was closely affiliated to Vladimir Putin. Let me finish with him real quick. There was a guy that was closely affiliated to the Kremlin. He defected from the Kremlin. This relationship goes back to the 90s. His name is Boris Berezovsky. He's an oligarch, billionaire. He defected from Russia to London, and he allegedly dissolved himself back in the mid-2010s. He dissolved himself. Guess what? There are 13 other men connected to Boris Berezovsky. 13 other men that are connected to him. Guess where it leads back to? Vladimir Putin. Remember, these guys haven't been convicted of anything, man. Remember Alexei Navalny, if I'm pronouncing his name right? He was a lawyer and opposition leader earlier this year. He dissolved himself, if I'm not mistaken. Go check the articles out. But he was a lawyer and an opposition leader. He spoke out quite candidly against the Kremlin, against Vladimir Putin. He's gone. What about Kim Jong-un? He allegedly was involved in the dissolving of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, which defected. He defected and was, I believe he was living in China at the time. This is 2010s. This is all in the 2010s. Kim Jong-un reportedly killed 30 of his officials this past summer because of a flood that hit North Korea that they were not prepared for. Long story short, 30 officials. His sister, Kim, let's get her name right, Kim Yo-jong, she's said to be the deadliest woman in the world. She seems to be the muscle behind that smile of Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un seems to want to westernize a little bit. His sister has like this cold, if you ever seen it, look her up. She has this cold smile, man. These people are not playing. And she started off as his propaganda minister and quickly went up the ranks. And she's probably the number 2 person in North Korea, period, authority-wise. It's Kim Jong-un, then it's his sister. And then the faithful generals from decades ago. She has authority, man, over probably everybody except her brother right now. And she reportedly blew up a building to make it make sense. She blew up a building in North Korea where North and South Korea would meet. And for diplomatic reasons, she blew the building up. She had it detonated. She was sending a message to South Korea that we're doing our own thing. This relationship is over. These are things to think about. These people are not playing around. See, We've been dumbed down by the machine. We've been thought to just be entertained by sports, the food we eat, and I'll get into the machine. It'll probably take me a series to talk about the machine. But the machine is the reason why we don't take these threats serious. We're distracted. We're distracted. Even by social media, we're distracted. And who promised you peace and security, man? Tell me who promised you that? This upcoming administration, these are just people. Look at Ukraine. Look at Syria. Look at the threat to Taiwan. Taiwan is the biggest chip manufacturer in the world. Why does China have an interest in Taiwan? You tell me. And U.S.A. has an unofficial relationship with Taiwan. Unofficially. So we both have an interest in Taiwan. You see how one nation can drag another nation into conflict because of the interest? And Xi Jinping, he's very covert, right? But Xi Jinping disappeared 2 weeks before he took office. And you go check it out for yourself. Xi Jinping, this 2010s, he disappeared 2 weeks before he took office. And he had a rival, a man named Lai. Lai was really popular with the people. He had more of a westernized idea for China. But him and his wife were basically moved out of the way because his wife was convicted of murdering, I believe it was a businessman or politician that she allegedly murdered. She was sentenced, put away probably for life, maybe even dissolved. I don't know. Lai, they found out that he was involved in all types of corruption. He was moved out of the way. And then all of a sudden, Xi Jinping emerges. And he's been in power since then, man. These people are not playing. China, they don't mind flexing their muscles, man. Could Satan be coming to town this Christmas? Making the list, checking it twice. We don't know. We don't know what a day might bring, man. We just don't know. I want you to think about that tonight. You don't know what a day might bring. See, because if a nuke hits us, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if a nuke hits America? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? There's nowhere you can hide. I know we have military bunkers in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and I know in California we have some underground places, but everybody can't go there. Most of these bunkers that these nations own, they're for military purposes and people of affluence. They're not for us. Where are you going to go if something happens? Well, I have a hiding place. And I want to leave you guys with this song by B.B. Winans, and it says, "If I lose my life, I will find again. I will soar on eagle's wings and then ever cease from war. Rest in Jesus' arms. For the Lord is good and I'm safe from harm." That's all you need to know tonight. You're not promised tomorrow, man. Wake up. Nobody promised that we would be here tomorrow. Nobody promised that tomorrow would be like today was. This may be the last Merry Christmas we have in America. Put your faith in Jesus, not man. This is The Fold. Thank you for tuning in. And with a gracious heart, I just want to tell you that I appreciate all of the viewers. Share this video. We're at the end, man. It doesn't matter what you believe about the rapture. It doesn't matter. These trivial issues don't matter. We're at the end. It's obvious that we're at the end. Are you ready? Are you ready to stand before the Lord? Forget about the rapture right now. Are you ready to stand before Jesus if you died today? He's the true hiding place. Remember that. And until next time, keep looking up to the Chief Shepherd. Good night.